Sari Go Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So it is my great pleasure to have the opportunity to visit you here in your new temple. Last time I was here was 2018, so you were still in the old place. So very nice to see that now we have more space and more devotees, and yes, very nice to see all your enthusiastic faces. So today we want to discuss a verse from 4th canto, 8th chapter, verse 34. Yes, and that verse is related to a very interesting topic, which I hope is relevant for all of us. It is all about envy, the main obstruction within our relationships. How envy manifests towards seniors, equals and juniors. So let us first read the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Actually, my humble request just to save a bit of time, because I was asked to finish at 12:30. But usually I take 2 hours to discuss this verse, so I have to cramp it to 45 minutes, including question and answer. So this is pretty tight for me. So let me just by myself chant once through the Sanskrit, just to save time. Gunadikam mudam lipset mu'anukosham gunadamat Maitim samanat anvichenna tapir avibhuyate. And I'll go immediately to the translation. So please listen carefully, because after reading the verse and purport, we want to collect all the different aspects of the envious and non-envious behavior towards seniors, equals, juniors. So please be attentive. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Every man, and here man means human, not man in opposition to woman, but human. Every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate towards him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of this material world. So this last statement of the verse is already a very powerful statement, that if we just learn how to act without envy, then we will never be affected by the threefold miseries of this material world. So this sounds very promising. So now let us move on to Prabhupada's purport. Generally, when we find someone more qualified than ourselves, we become envious of him. When we find someone less qualified, we deride him. And when we find someone equal, we become very proud of our activities. These are the causes of all material tribulations. Here the statement is repeated, that all this envious behavior is the root cause of our suffering. The great sage Narada therefore advised that a devotee should act perfectly. Instead of being envious of a more qualified man, one should be jolly to receive him. Instead of being oppressive to a less qualified man, one should be compassionate towards him, just to raise him to the proper standard. And when one meets an equal, instead of being proud of one's own activities before him, one should treat him as a friend. One should also have compassion. So, how long would that take? Okay, back are we? No, not quite yet. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Oops. Somebody is joking here. Hare Krishna. Haribo. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's try again. And when one meets an equal, instead of being proud of one's own activities before him, one should treat him as a friend. One should also have compassion for the people in general who are suffering due to forgetfulness of Krishna. These important functions will make one happy within this material world. Very often, Prabhupada's last sentence in the purport, one more time, hits the nail on the head. So, a third time, this statement is repeated, that if we just learn how to act without envy, we can be free from all miseries, and we can even be happy in this material world. So usually we preach that we cannot be happy. But here Prabhupada says, we can be happy in this material world. So how do we understand this? Prabhupada describes that in the spiritual world there is no desire for sense gratification. And therefore there is no envy, because envy comes about as soon as we strive for sense gratification. Immediately envy and competition enters. But in the spiritual world there is no desire for sense gratification. Therefore there is no envy. And now if a person here in the material world already is free from envy, this is actually only possible if one is a rather pure devotee. And that means actually within his consciousness and mind, he already lives in the spiritual world. He is not part of this material world any longer. So therefore, he can be happy even in this material world, even here in Bangalore. One can be happy if one is free from envy, and then we are already within our minds, we are fully absorbed in serving Krishna, hearing his glories, chanting his glories, and then we can be happy anywhere. Yeah, so let us have a look at the three kinds of relationships, how this envy manifests. First of all, as I mentioned, envy comes about through the desire of enjoying the senses, right? And actually, I like to see envy as a certain state of heart, because very commonly we use this word envy only towards a person who has something which we don't have. But actually it is a certain state of heart which comes out in all relationships, even towards inferiors, even towards children, even though in one sense we are not envious of a child, but no, we simply ventilate this enviousness from our hearts in all relationships. And there is another interesting little thing in the 5th canto. There's one verse where in the word-for-word translation, Prabhupada says, Kalaha, the envious, and then he puts in brackets, almost everyone. Almost everyone. Right? Yes. This is Prabhupada's sense of humor, even though you're not even laughing, not even smiling. But this is actually humorous. Prabhupada wants to get the point across that this includes us also. Because very often we try to keep ourselves in this illusion that envy only other people have, but I don't have that. Of course not. But everybody else is so envious, especially of me. Right? Yes. So that's why Prabhupada says, almost everyone. Yes. So it means most likely it includes us also. And also let me make this clear, that this discussion is not meant to detect the envy in other people's hearts, but it is meant to detect the envy in our hearts. Because what does it indicate if we start thinking, oh yes, especially my superiors, they treat me like this, they must be envious. What does that indicate about ourselves if we think like this? What does it indicate? That we are envious. Yes. So let's not allow our envy to manifest in such a way. Right? Yes. So let us turn towards the relationship with seniors. Maybe we remember Prabhupada was saying, if we are not envious, then we receive a senior in what way? In a jolly mood, in a happy mood. So that means when we are envious, we are not so jolly when we receive a senior, right? Let us imagine a senior preacher comes to the temple and we think, oh no, not this person is coming now. And we may ask him, oh Prabhu, nice to see you. How long are you staying? For 3 days. Oh really, 3 days? Okay, good. And we think, oh thank God he's not staying that much longer. Then I have the scene to myself again. Thank God he's leaving soon. Then I can be the center of attention. Right? Yes. Yeah, so we are not so pleased when we see a senior person, when we have envy in our heart. And what else do? We do much more than just being not so pleased. Usually I like to be interactive, but the short period of time hardly allows this. Anyway, I'll give you the answers just to save time. So what else do? We find faults. We criticize. We try to reduce his importance by finding something which is not so good. Let us imagine, senior preacher comes, leads a kirtan, and then a friend of ours says, "Oh, that was a nice kirtan, wasn't it?" And we say, "Yeah, it was all right, but his tune was not so nice, and his mridanga playing could be improved." You know, we find something, even if it is true that his mridanga playing needs improvement and the tune was not so nice, just the fact that we have this urge to make the statement, if we really are introspective and reflect, we have to be honest that there is some envy in our heart. And that's why we try to reduce his position. And in other words, we say, if I had led the kirtan, I certainly would have chosen a nicer tune. Yes. So, and it is interesting that even if it is true, it does not give us the right to make the point. We might think, well, can't I share my kirtan experience with my friend? After all, it's true. What's wrong with speaking the truth? You know, freedom of speech, Bangalore, modern city here, we are allowed to say the truth, aren't we? That may be the mundane vision of the whole situation. But from a spiritual point of view, if we reflect, we have to be honest that there is some envy there. And another thing we do with a senior when we are envious is also that we ignore him. We pretend he is nothing, nobody, not even worth saying Hare Krishna to him. We just ignore him. Right? Yes. That is another way how the envy can easily manifest. That we simply don't give him any importance and any attention. So now, what is the non-envious way? We already said, if we are non-envious, we are pleased to receive him, we are jolly, not only with a plastic smile, but truly from the heart, we are pleased. How nice to see this senior person. And what else do we do? How do we associate with a senior? We are respectful. How does the respect manifest? We want to serve him. We offer menial service. And we humbly inquire, right? Very personally, very well. So that's not only towards Guru, but actually towards any more experienced person. That's how we take advantage of a senior person being there. That we serve him in a menial way, and we humbly inquire. We are eager to hear. We are eager to learn something from him. We are squeezing him for some nectar, because sadhu only speaks if people want to hear. But if we don't want to hear, then sadhu will not speak. You know, so we have to be eager. And interestingly, this eagerness to serve and inquire, they enhance each other. So the more we are eager to serve, the more we are eager to hear from that person. And the more we are eager to hear, the more we want to serve. And hearing, serving, hearing, serving. They're very important aspects of devotional life. So let us move on towards juniors. What is the envious behavior towards a less experienced person? How do we treat them? One suggestion to be a little interactive, yes? Huh? You're one step ahead of us. That's the non-envious behavior is compassionate, but now we are at the envious behavior. We do push him down. We make fun out of him. We make a good joke on his expense, you know, and laugh about him. ridicule him. Yes. What else do we do? Huh? Yes, well, we try and keep him down. Okay, yes, I want you to grow, but definitely not higher than I am. Right? Yeah, these things are pretty subtle. Sometimes we are not even identifying them. Yes, we definitely want to keep him lower than I am. I am always up here, you will always be down here. Right? Sometimes we can also observe when we delegate a task to somebody else. Good delegation means we follow up. We ask, how are you doing? You need some help, you need some manpower, maybe you need some more Lakshmi. Can I somehow do something for you to help you become successful? That's the non-envious way of delegating. But if we have some envy in the heart, then our delegation looks a little different. Then we have this mood, okay, either you do it or I do it. And if you want to do it, okay, good luck, you do it. We don't follow up. And maybe in our heart we are hoping that he will not be as successful as if I had done it. And then we can say, just see, I knew you can't do it, but you wanted to do it. Just see, I should have done it myself. Right? Yes. These things, unfortunately, happen quite a lot. And we may not even be aware of these things, because they're so subtle. And we can also observe that in the professional world, people are often much better in delegating because they're profit-orientated. They know, if I help that person to become successful, then the company gets more profit, then I will get some benefits. There is this material motivation there. But because we are not so materially motivated, we are sometimes lacking behind a little bit, in our tools of delegating. And then there is one more thing we sometimes do when we have this envy in the heart towards a junior. And as I said, don't think now that, oh yeah, my senior is doing this, he must be envious. Let's not go that way. So, but constantly and overly harshly, constantly correct and chastise somebody. This could very well be some indication that there is some envy there when we always heavily pick on a person and chastise and correct. And this sometimes comes out towards children too. Yes. I have often seen this, especially in the Western world, when the mothers have small children and they have an 8-hour job, and then in the evenings they're completely frustrated and they have so much anger, frustration in the heart, some heavy experiences during the day, and then the poor child cops it, and then they chastise and scream at the little child. Child can't even understand what's going on, too small, only 2 or 3 years old. So that's how this anger and frustration and envy comes out. You see? So yeah, we have to be very careful, very careful. Actually, Prabhupada was saying, before becoming Krishna conscious, we have to become conscious first. And so often, we are just so unconscious. We are not even mindful how we communicate with people, what our words do to other people's hearts. We just say things and act in all kinds of different patterns of behaviors, and we're not even realizing, that this is not a nice way of dealing with people, So we have to reflect and introspect and catch ourselves doing these things. So now, what is the non-envious behavior towards juniors? Now you can come. Yes, we have to deal with compassion. We want to affectionately reach out to them, compassionately uplift them, always helping them to advance. And we want them to be more successful than we are. That really requires non-envy. We can assess ourselves and look in our hearts. How do I feel if others become more successful than I am? Do I feel some biting anger and envy there? Or am I truly happy for them? Can I celebrate other people's success with a truly happy heart? You see? That is only possible if we are non-envious. Actually, a non-envious person can connect with anybody and act for their ultimate benefit to uplift them. Our Srila Prabhupada was the perfect example of this. He could connect with anybody, with a small child, with a hippie, with a drunkard, with a scientist, with a Christian priest. No matter who the person was, he always knew how to act for that person's ultimate benefit. And sometimes Prabhupada was very heavy, He chastised people, called them fools and rascals. But because it came from a non-envious heart, people as a rule accepted it. They didn't feel offended. So now we cannot imitate this. Yes, because when we call people fools and rascals, because our heart is not free from envy, there will be some pride and envy coming along, putting them down. Oh, look at these mudhas, and these fools and rascals. Thank God I'm not one of them. But that was never Prabhupada's mood. He sometimes was crying tears when he saw how people early in the morning were rushing already to work, instead of using these early morning hours for some spiritual developments, from chanting, reading the Shastra. Prabhupada was crying tears, So that is the difference. So we cannot imitate Prabhupada and call people fools and rascals and mudhas and so on, And Prabhupada was sometimes saying, I am an old man, I can speak like this, but you can't. But actually, this is not a question of age, Obviously, Prabhupada would not say, I am non-envious, I can speak like this, but you aren't. So that's why Prabhupada simply made it as a question of age, Yes. So let us move on to the relationship with equals. The envious behavior towards equals. Who remembers what Prabhupada said in the purport? What is the envious behavior towards equals? Envious. To be proud of our activities. Very good. You really listened attentively, didn't you? But don't get proud about it. Exactly. When we are proud, when we are envious, and we meet an equal, then we are proud of our own activities. We are boasting. We are showing off. So why do we do this? Enough out there. Why do we do this? Because we say, all right, we are equal, but actually I'm a little superior. And I'm going to prove it to you what amazing activities I've been doing. So we can just imagine two not so mature preachers are meeting. And in the name of sharing, I'm just sharing with my friend. I will say, oh, guess what? I was at the Rath Yatra in New York, and they asked me to lead the kirtan for 45 minutes. I was leading the kirtan. You want to see? Here is YouTube. I send you the link. You can watch it when I was leading the kirtan in New York. And then I went to LA, Los Angeles, again Rath Yatra, and I couldn't believe it. They again asked me to lead the kirtan, and not only that, then I gave the talk in front of hundreds of people. Again, YouTube, you want to see? And and we go on and on and on, just in the name of, well, I'm just sharing with my friend. What's wrong with that? And then at the end we say, and what about you, Prabhu? What did you do? And by then the other person is so impressed. You're so great. I'm nothing. I have nothing to even talk about. You won. You are superior. So this is what's going on amongst equals when there is some envy in the heart. So there is competition, right? Immediately the competition comes in, and we are chanting our own glories, trying to show off and boast. Actually, maybe you have noticed in these modern days, very often people, instead of inquiring, they like to talk about themselves, right? You notice that people love talking about themselves. What they all been doing, this and that and this and that. So, but especially towards a senior person, this would be very inappropriate. We are not meant to talk about ourselves and showing off how great we are. Only if that person asks us, so what are you doing? So then we can humbly share something, Yes. So now what's the non-envious behavior amongst equals? Friendship, Prabhupada says. But actually in one sense we can also be friends with a senior or with a junior. But what is the specialty in the friendship amongst equals? There is something very special which can only be experienced in that relationship. So let us explore this. Two equals who are non-envious. There is actually also a kind of competition taking place. But it's very different than the competition amongst envious people. What's the competition amongst non-envious? They glorify each other, hopefully not in the mood of massaging each other's false egos. But no, they actually, with Vaishnava humility, they see themselves as less experienced. And they treat the other person as more experienced out of Vaishnava humility. And therefore, they push each other forward. Right? One says to the other, oh Prabhu, you give the class. I want to hear from you. And the other one says, oh, and you lead the kirtan. Your singing, your kirtans are so much more empowering than my kirtans. You lead the kirtan. Yes. So they push each other forward, considering themselves as unqualified and insignificant. And that is exactly the mood in the spiritual world. Because there, as we said, there is no desire for sense gratification. Therefore, no envy. So therefore, it is said that the gopis, the mandaris, they always push each other forward towards Krishna. They actually feel more bliss assisting the others to give pleasure to Krishna, rather than being there in the front themselves. That's the mood in the spiritual world. So if we want to go there one day, we have to cultivate that mood. Otherwise we will not be allowed entrance. Yes. And I mean, if we reflect on this point, we may understand that we are pretty far away. Let us imagine our Guru Maharaj comes. Recently, Devaki Maharaj was in the Singha temple. Will you feel more joy and satisfaction pushing the other devotees towards Guru's lotus feet and let them get? Now, usually we want to be there ourselves. We want to get the attention and we want to get the glory, and Guru Maharaj should see us, what we all do. So we are pretty far away still from this non-envious mood, Yes. Yes. So, and also this friendship amongst equals who are non-envious. There is a very confidential inquiry and sharing taking place. That they inquire about each other's secrets in devotional life. That one says to the other, "Oh Prabhu, you've been a brahmachari for 35 years. Tell me, how do you do it? What's your secret?" And then the other one says, "And Prabhu, you've been married for 35. What's your secret? How do you do it? And you still, go out on book distribution and you chant 16 rounds and you earn an income and you give some donations and you're up at 4:30 for Mangalari. How do you do it?" Tolerating, children, wife, so many things. How do you do it? So they inquire in a very confidential, personal way from each other about each other's secrets. And that's what makes the friendship so special, because that kind of intimate inquiry we cannot do with juniors. And even with seniors, we have to be a little careful that we are not, intruding into their private life there, But amongst equals, if we are non-envious, then we can share like that in a very private and personal way. And that's what makes this friendship amongst equals who are non-envious so special. So now my question to you, please everybody switch off their phones. So my question to you, which relationship is most purifying? With seniors, with equals, with juniors? What do you think? Which one is most purifying? Equals. Yes, you're right. Most people guess with seniors. I mean, while we are a young, definitely we will get a lot of benefit with association with seniors. But the equal association brings to the surface the most bashing envy from the most hidden corners of the heart, right? Yes, because there we have to show really where we stand. To associate with seniors, not so difficult to say, yes, I'm the humble servant, and we can always of his glory over to us. That, oh look, it's always me in every picture with Guru Maharaj. I'm always right there next to him. And because he is so great, the next great person. Yes. And with juniors, also pretty easy to surround ourselves with juniors who are looking up to us, and we say, yes, yes, I'm their servant, I'm their humble servant. But, there we have to show our true color, servant, or whether we say, okay, we are equals, but actually I'm superior. I'm dominating person, the enjoyer, and. Yes, so the equal association most purifying. We may have, for example, two equally experienced cooks cooking lunch for Guru Maharaj. Ooh, this can be intense, right? Yes, if it is two, immediately the competition comes in. Who knows better what? Oh, don't you know he can't eat this? His diet. Oh, last week he ate so much of that, and so there can be a whole, fighting and competition there. Yes. Yes. Oh, I've seen it. How devotees even steal each other's boga. So, or they're definitely. No, this is my recipe that I only can make this for Guru Maharaj and nobody else. Or devotees, somebody cooks something and then somebody else says, no, he can't, not good for him, no need to even show it. Ooh, this sounds like some envy there, because what's the harm to show it? He may want to try a tiny little spoonful, but if it can be served, most likely there's some envy behind it, Yes. So, the difficulty of associating with equals, with persons who have similar influence, to share our with somebody similarly influential, that is a challenge. Yes. And we can see in the world at large, but also within ISKCON, usually comes about through this difficulty of associating with equals. Oh yes, I mean, I have no clue what's going on here in Bangalore and Jagannath Temple and Sheshadipur, but I've seen in other parts of the world, there's often so much tension amongst the leaders, so much competition there, yes. So let's be clear. This is not that, there's some personality differences or something, but no, that's where the envy comes out, if we have to cooperate with similarly influential personalities. And we have the examples in the Bhagavatam too. Prithu Maharaj and Indra, right? When Prithu Maharaj wanted to do the 100th horse sacrifice, while Indra had 99, everything was peaceful. But as soon as Prithu Maharaj wanted to do the Indra got so envious. What horse? Like stealing the yagya can't go on, Yes. So, good example. Or even the story when Lord Brahma wanted to see Narayan, Lord Vishnu, and the door. Who are you? Which Brahma are you? And Brahma got all huffy and irritated. What do you mean? Don't you know I'm Lord Brahma? So he's giving him equal association. He calls all the universes just to humble him a little bit. And there were Lord Brahmas with 10 heads, not only 4 or 100 or 1,000. Our Lord Brahma a little humble. He got some equal association. Okay. I'm not the only Lord Brahma, Yes. So, equal association we should seek as much as possible. His Holiness Varna Swami, he has this formula for association. As far as I understand, it is not from the Shastra, but it is his own formula just to get this point across how important equal association is. He says, out of 100 association, 60 should be spent with equals. 60%. Only 20% with juniors and 20% with the top, but 60 with the equals. So while this is quite natural, but as we become more and more senior, we will discover 60% equal association is almost difficult to get. So this just makes the point how important this equal association is. Yes. Yeah. We have only 5 more minutes. I'm not sure what to do now. Let us with this topic, and let me just quickly take the opportunity to say a few words about these 5 books I published. And then after that, if there's still some time, we can ask for a question. Because in one of the books, this very topic is discussed, namely in sheltering relationships. There is this chapter on envy. Sheltering relationships describes the importance of having a counselor. We already had 2 evening programs on this topic, but many of you maybe missed it. It's a very important topic, that just having a Diksha or Shiksha Guru, not enough. Our gurus have hundreds and thousands of disciples. We need a counselor on a more regular basis, a mentor who helps us to balance our spiritual life. If we don't, easily we stay in our comfort zone, and then we become stagnant, and then nothing much happens in our spiritual practice. So that's what this book is all about. Then we have spiritual culture, Krishna's divine system. This is all about the man-woman dynamics, how we women are very powerful. We women are in many ways superior to the men. To use our powerful energy to empower, be the auspicious source of energy and inspiration to the men. We are not for the men. But this is unfortunately exactly what's going on now. Because of the man-woman equality understanding, we women compete with the men, and that weakens the man. In fact, it completely disempowers the man. So it's a very important topic. Many temples use this book as a handbook for brothers, even though the book is all about women. But also the men have to understand what important role we women are meant to play. Very important. Very helpful in married life also. It has improved and even saved a lot of marriages. People send me emails and express this. Then we have the fourth companion and troublemaker. And Tuesday sessions on the false ego, just as a little introduction. So it's of course a working day, you may not be able to come and attend it, but then please get the book. In the book you have so much more than what I can present in these 2 sessions. There's so many things in there. In the name of Krishna consciousness, we can feed and boost the false ego instead of dissolving and subduing it. And chanting the holy name, it's like a summary of a holy name retreat. Then we have entering the Grihastha ashram, how to do it, how not. It's like a handbook for. And here in India, I feel we need a little bit of help with this. There's a whole topics which a boy and a girl should discuss and this takes about every day for 2 hours. Are we on the same page? Yes. So this is for people who are not married yet, for children find a matching spouse, or for mentors, bhakti vriksha leaders, counselors, whatnot. And life as an secrets of success. Immediately after prasadam at 3 o'clock, we will have a seminar session on family life. Today we will discuss how to please a husband, and tomorrow evening how to satisfy a wife. So in both sessions, don't how to please the husband, they want to hear that. How to satisfy the wife, they want to. So please come for both sessions. And also let's educate ourselves a bit. So in this book there's so many interesting points, because not every householder's life is an ashram, a place suitable for. This book describes your home, and then the children very naturally will become devotees. And it also has a chapter for intimacy in marriage, how to live this fourth principle of no illicit sex life. There's so much confusion over this. Practically nobody talks about it, right? Especially here in India. So I'm so courageous, I'm talking about it. So, and I hope I'm helping our devotees that our grihastha life is more harmonious and stable and strong. So if anybody wants to get any books, please see me over there, book table there. These 3 books are 350 rupees, only rupees, not dollars or euros. And the other 2 books are 300, so I'll be after this. So 12:30, my time is up. I have an extended time for one question on envy. Do we have one question? Anyone about the topic of envy? Okay. Do we have a mic? Oh, I'll repeat it. Okay. Yes.
So when we don't satisfy our senses, you are telling envy will come. But Bhagavad Gita talks about krodha and krodha bhavati samama smriti vitra.
Yes.
So how do we matches like the samoha, whatever they say, like envy, or same thing, or it's a different?
Yes, I mean, anger is related to envy. Yes, yes. You know, when our material desires are frustrated, we get angry, it says in Bhagavad Gita. So anger is related to envy. It's down. Right? Yes. Usually when I have more time, I explain 5 practical steps to do when we see we have this envy or false ego patterns of behaviors in the heart. So since we don't have time to discuss them, in these 2 books you find them. So if you want to know the practical 5 steps how to deal with false ego patterns of behaviors with envy, sorry, you have to get the book. Okay. For your kind attention. So please, if you me there on the book table, and please come immediately after prasadam to hear a husband. Srila Prabhupada ki Gaura Premanandi.